Day of Disaster, the eruption of Mount Vesuvius, 79 AD. Nearly 2,000 years ago, a volcanic eruption destroyed the city of Pompeii. Thousands died. It was one of the worst disasters in the ancient world. Now, imagine that you were there. It's a typical summer day in the beautiful city of Pompeii in the year 79 AD. The main street is packed with people, women swishing by in long robes, men in tunics, children with leather sandals that slap against the hot stone streets. Vendors shout for your attention, offering you slices of juicy melons or sizzling hunks of roasted meats. From the shoulder of the shopkeeper, a parrot squawks, "Salve!" Hello in Latin, the language of the Roman Empire. You're surprised by how modern the city seems. It has a library, theaters, and grand temples. There are shops and restaurants and a market where you can taste dozens of delicacies from sweet dates and figs to fattened roasted mice stuffed with nuts and rose petals. Beautiful marble and bronze statues stand all over the city, monuments to the famous citizens, mighty emperors, and fierce generals who built Rome in the most powerful empire in the world. The heat makes you thirsty, so you stop at a public fountain made of carved stone. You scoop up some of the cool, clean water. No wonder Romans are proud of their water. Nowhere else in the world has such a sophisticated system of aqueducts, underground tunnels that deliver fresh water to fountains, bathhouses, and private homes. As you rest by the fountain, an enormous man lumbers past, his arms scarred, his muscle legs thick as tree trunks. This man is a famous gladiator, a fighter set to do battle that afternoon in Pompeii's amphitheater, a stadium that holds 20,000 people. Romans loved to watch gladiators fight each other with fists, swords, clubs, or knives. Sometimes men are pitted against ferocious lions or bears. If it sounds gruesome, I'm sorry, if it sounds gruesome, that's because it is. Gladiators often die in the arena. Maybe by now you noticed it. The massive mountain that looms behind the city. That's Mount Vesuvius. You haven't given it much thought, and neither do the people of Pompeii. Why should they? It's just a big mountain, silent and still, its gentle slopes covered with trees and grape vineyards. Except Mount Vesuvius is not just a mountain. It's a volcano. Vesuvius sits atop a crack in the Earth's crust, the hard, rocky layer that covers the surface of our planet like the shell of an egg. From miles below, molten rock called magma seeps up through this crack. The people of Pompeii have no idea that a huge lake of magma is boiling under Vesuvius, steaming with poisonous explosive gases. How could they? There is not even a word for volcano in Latin. Vesuvius has been dormant for 1,500 years, but now it's waking up. For months, magma has been rising from the center of the volcano, like filling it like fiery blood. Pressure is building. Over the past few weeks, there have been warning signs. Talk to the farmers who tend the vineyards around Vesuvius. They'll tell you about the stinging smell, like rotten eggs wafting from the mountaintop. Is it a warning from the gods? Like the ancient Greeks before them, the Romans believed that gods and goddesses control everything in the world. Some say that mighty Jupiter, god of the sky, is angry at the people of Pompeii. Of course, nobody understands that the terrible smell is sulfurous gas, part of the explosive brew simmering inside Vesuvius. There have been other signs of a coming disaster. The extreme heat underground has dried up streams. Goats and sheep are dropping dead on the mountain, their lungs seared by the poisonous gases. Most alarming of all, small earthquakes have jolted the city, a sign of growing strain on the land. All this is evidence that a huge eruption will come at any moment. The people of Pompeii should have evacuated days or even weeks before, but no one understands the signs. So what are you going? So what are you doing standing around? You should run now. At this point, it's too late for the people of Pompeii, and it may be too late for you. Boom! Boom! Two powerful explosions, seconds apart, shatter the sky. The ground shakes so violently that people fall. Horses and donkeys scream. Birds scatter by the thousands. You see a terrifying sight, a gigantic column of what looks like gray smoke spewing from the top of Mount Vesuvius. It's not smoke, though. The intense heat produced by the eruption has turned millions of tons of solid rock into the superheated foam. The boiling plume shoots 12 miles into the sky at rocket speeds. When it hits the freezing air in the lower atmosphere, the melted rock cools into tiny pebbles called pumice. Carried by the wind, they spread through the air and pour down on Pompeii. The pumice falls with painful force. It is mixed with hot ash, which clogs your nose and throat. Many people are fleeing. Go with them. Push past the donkey carts and through the gates of the city. Grab the hand of the little boy who has become separated from his family. Keep moving. The farther you get, the more likely you will live. Other people decide to stay behind, to guard their homes and businesses. Crime is bad in Pompeii. An empty house or shop will almost certainly be ransacked by thieves. People hide in their homes. They think this strange storm of ash and rock will end soon. They are wrong. The sky turns black. As hours pass, the weight of the pumice causes roofs to collapse, trapping people in their homes. Then more terror. As a volcano loses energy, the molten rock and ash mix together to create a superheated wave that rushes down the mountain at 80 miles an hour. This burning avalanche is known as a pyroclastic flow. When it hits Pompeii, death for those who stayed behind is almost instant. Over the next few hours, millions of tons of ash and rock fall on the city. In the weeks that follow, people return to Pompeii to search for survivors. There are none. In fact, the entire city seems to have vanished. Pompeii is buried under 12 feet of rock. Within a few decades, Pompeii is all but forgotten, wiped off the face of the earth. You survived your day in Pompeii. You are one of the lucky few who made it far enough away from the city to escape being crushed. But before you get home, let's take one more trip to Pompeii today. The ruins lie near the city of Naples in southern Italy. For nearly 1,700 years, Pompeii was forgotten. It was rediscovered in 1748 and has been studied ever since. The layers of pumice and ash that fell on Pompeii formed a shell over the city, preserving it as a time capsule of Roman life. Archaeologists have unearthed dazzling treasures like jewels, mosaic artwork, and statues. They even found a basket of petrified eggs and the remains of a bowl of chicken soup. As you walk through the ruins of Pompeii, you can admire the remnants of houses, shops, and temples. You can almost hear the voices of the citizens. And you can see Mount Vesuvius. It is silent and still. But don't be fooled. Vesuvius has erupted more than 80 times since Pompeii was destroyed, the last time in 1944. These eruptions were small, but scientists have no doubt that the volcano will erupt again, possibly with the same devastating force as it did in 79 AD. They worry about the millions who live in the eruption zones. Will they have enough warning before the next eruption? Or will people suffer the same fate as ancient Pompeians, swallowed by fire, buried in ash, and lost to time? And would you want to be there to find out?